Every single day, runners lace up their shoes, head out the door, and work harder than they did yesterday. They push through burning lungs, heavy legs, and the kind of fatigue that follows them into their sleep. And they do all of that believing, genuinely believing, that the suffering is the point, that if it doesn't hurt, it doesn't count, that more is always more. And that belief is quietly destroying their running.
Subscribe to the channel! Click the button and subscribe now. Don't miss out! Subscribe today! Yay!
Before we get into it, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now. Leave a like on this video. Drop a comment telling us what city or country you're watching from. Seriously, we read every single one, and it blows our minds every time someone shows up from somewhere we've never heard of. Share this video with a running buddy who needs to hear what we're about to say. And if you want to go deeper and help keep this channel alive, become a member through the link in the pinned comment. It means more than you know. Now, let's see we talk. You are working too hard, and I don't mean that in a motivational push-yourself kind of way. I mean it in a cold, physiological, your body is literally regressing kind of way. The training that feels productive, the runs that wreck you, the sessions that leave you gasping, the workouts where you collapse on the couch afterward and feel like you earned something. That training is, for the vast majority of runners, the single biggest obstacle standing between them and the runner they're trying to become. Stop. Read that again. The thing you think is making you faster is making you slower, not metaphorically, not in the long run if you get injured. Right now, in this training block, your body is adapting, but it is not adapting the way you think it is. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but I feel like I'm working hard. I must be getting fitter. Be honest with yourself. How long have you been running at this intensity? How many weeks? How many months of hard effort after hard effort? And where are your race times? Where is your aerobic capacity? Is it actually moving, or are you just tired? Here's what's really happening inside your body, and I'm going to ask you to set aside everything you think you know about effort and reward for the next 20 minutes because the science here is not complicated. It's just wildly different from what the running culture has been selling you. Your cardiovascular system, your muscles, your mitochondria, the little energy factories inside every muscle cell. They all develop and adapt through very specific conditions. And those conditions are not what most runners are creating when they head out for their daily sufferfest. The adaptations you are desperately chasing, the ones that actually make you faster, more efficient, more durable, they happen at intensities that feel almost embarrassingly easy. We're talking conversational. We're talking, I could do this for 2 hours and feel fine, easy. And when you consistently run harder than that, you don't just miss those adaptations, you actively interfere with them. This is not an opinion, this is exercise physiology, and it has a name: lactate threshold, VO2 max, running economy. These are the 3 pillars of distance running performance, and every elite runner on this planet, every Kenyan, every Ethiopian, every world record holder you've ever looked up, structures their entire training around developing all 3 of them, not just one. Not just the one that feels the hardest. All 3. And here's what almost no one tells recreational runners. 2 of those 3 pillars are almost exclusively built at low intensity. Easy, aerobic, aerobic, aerobic. The kind of running that your ego hates and your mitochondria loves. Let's start with your mitochondria, because this is where everything begins. Mitochondria are built, literally grown, multiplied, densified inside your muscle fibers. Through sustained aerobic work at low to moderate intensity, this process is called mitochondrial biogenesis, and it is the foundation of your endurance engine. More mitochondria means your muscles can produce more energy, process more oxygen, and sustain faster paces for longer before your body crosses into the red zone. This is the adaptation that separates a 4-hour marathoner from a 2:30 marathoner. Not leg strength, not willpower, mitochondrial density. And here's the brutal truth. Mitochondrial biogenesis is almost completely suppressed when you train too hard, too often. When you push into high intensity day after day, your body is under so much oxidative stress, so much systemic inflammation, that it shifts its energy and resources into recovery and damage control. It cannot simultaneously rebuild your aerobic infrastructure. You are essentially trying to renovate your engine while running it at full throttle. It doesn't work. The renovation gets skipped. You stay exactly where you are, or worse, you regress. Pensinisu. You spend 5 days a week running hard. You feel destroyed. Your legs are always a little heavy. Your easy runs don't feel easy because nothing feels easy anymore. You call it training fatigue and you push through it because that's what the culture tells you to do. Meanwhile, your mitochondria are screaming for a break, your aerobic base is eroding, and your lactate threshold, the pace at which your body shifts from efficient aerobic metabolism to the unsustainable, acidic, muscle-burning anaerobic zone. That threshold is sitting exactly where it was 6 months ago. Ridiculous. Now let's talk about lactate threshold, because this is where your race times actually live. Your lactate threshold is the ceiling of your sustainable speed. It is the fastest pace you can hold without your body flooding with lactate faster than it can clear it. When your threshold goes up, your sustainable race pace goes up. Period. That's the whole game. And your lactate threshold goes up primarily through two things: a massive aerobic base built at low intensity and a relatively small amount of very specific controlled threshold work, the kind done at exactly the right effort, not just hard. Most recreational runners never build the base. They skip straight to the hard work because the base feels too slow, too boring, too unimpressive to post on Strava. So they're doing threshold work, or what they think is threshold work, on top of a weak aerobic foundation. It's like building a skyscraper on sand. The structure goes up, it looks impressive, and then it collapses. Every single time you hit a plateau, your times stagnate. You add more miles, more intensity, more suffering. Nothing changes, and you wonder what's wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Your foundation is wrong. Here is what the data shows. And when I say data, I mean decades of research on elite endurance athletes across cycling, running, rowing, and cross-country skiing. The EU athletes performing at the highest levels of endurance sport consistently spend approximately 80% of their training time at low intensity and 20% at high intensity or threshold work. 80, 20, and that 80% at low intensity? It's not junk miles. It's not active recovery. It is the engine. It is the deliberate, methodical construction of the aerobic infrastructure that makes the 20% of hard work actually productive. This is the 80-20 rule, and it is not a trend. It's not a running influencer's philosophy. It is the training distribution that emerges organically when you study what the best endurance athletes in the world actually do, stripped of all the noise and the marketing. Stop. Think about your last week of training. What percentage of it was genuinely easy? Heart rate in that comfortable aerobic zone, conversation possible, muscles feeling fresh. Be honest with yourself. Was it 80%? Was it 50%? Was it even 30%? For most runners who describe their training as consistent and hard, the answer is somewhere around 0. That's why you're not improving. That's not a guess. That's what the physiology tells us. Now, I want to spend some time on something that connects all three pillars in a way most runners never consider. And it has to do with how your body actually moves oxygen from your lungs to your muscles. Because there's a mechanism happening inside you right now, every time you run, that either unlocks your aerobic capacity or throttles it completely. And it has almost nothing to do with how much oxygen you breathe in. It has everything to do with something else. Something most runners have never thought about. And that brings us to running economy, the third pillar, and the one that's hiding the most performance gains for most recreational runners. Running economy is your efficiency. It's how much energy and oxygen your body consumes at any given pace. A runner with great economy glides. A runner with poor economy struggles. Two runners with identical VO2 max scores, identical cardiovascular capacity, can perform completely differently because one of them is burning 40% more energy at the same pace just due to mechanics and inefficiency. Running economy is improved through two things: strength work and neuromuscular development, which we'll cover in a future episode, and aerobic training volume at low intensity, which builds the kind of slow twitch muscle, fiber efficiency and oxygen delivery precision that you simply cannot fake with short, hard efforts. You have to log the miles, the easy miles, the ones you're currently skipping. Here's a practical framework for restructuring your training, and I'm going to give it to you in a way that doesn't require a coach or a GPS watch with a dozen metrics. First, for the next 8 weeks, cap 80% of your runs at a genuinely easy effort. If you can't hold a complete conversation without pausing, for breath, you're going too hard. Slow down. Dramatically if necessary. Your ego will hate this. Your body will respond. Second, once per week, add a controlled threshold session, not a race effort, not a sufferfest. A tempo run at the pace you could sustain for roughly 1 hour if you had to. Start with 20 minutes. That's it. One session. The rest of the week, easy. Third, Be patient for 6 weeks, because that's the timeline for meaningful mitochondrial adaptation. Not 2 weeks, not 4, 6. If you bail after 3 weeks because you don't feel any different, you have robbed yourself of the adaptation you were right on the edge of unlocking. And here's the moment I want you to take from this video and carry into your next run. The next time you head out the door and you feel the urge to push, to make it hurt, to make it feel productive, I want you to ask yourself one question. Am I building my engine right now, or am I just burning fuel? Because those two things feel almost identical in the moment. The runner who's burning fuel feels tired and accomplished. The runner who's building their engine also feels tired and accomplished. The difference shows up 6 months from now, on race day, when one of them crosses the finish line wondering why their training didn't translate, and the other one crosses it several minutes faster than they thought possible. Be the second runner. Slow down to speed up. Build the base. Trust the process. Earn the easy miles the same way you'd earn the hard ones. With intention, with patience, and with the understanding that the best runners in the world are out there right now running slower than you think and getting faster than you can imagine. Now here's where I'm going to leave you with something that might keep you up tonight, because your next run, your next easy, intentional, frustratingly slow run, is going to be the first brick in a new foundation. But there's one more piece to this puzzle that almost nobody talks about, and it sounds completely counterintuitive. You need to stop chasing oxygen. I know, that sounds insane. You're a runner. Oxygen is everything. Without it, you slow down. Without it, your muscles stop. Everything about running feels like a fight for more oxygen. So why would I tell you to stop chasing it? Because the real bottleneck in your aerobic performance, the thing that's actually limiting how much oxygen gets delivered to your working muscles, is not how much air you breathe in. We are going to talk about that in the next video. And when you understand the mechanism I'm going to show you, I promise you it will change the way you breathe for the rest of your running life. This one is a big deal. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Hit the bell. And if this video gave you something to think about, if it made you question your training, if it gave you a direction you didn't have before, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. We're building something real here for runners who actually want to get better. And we can't do it without you. See you in the next one.